Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Chen, and last week I found my dream wedding dress, crumpled in our building's dumpster. Staring at the shredded silk, a text from my mother-in-law, Linda, buzzed on my phone. "Don't worry, dear, I found the perfect dress for you, the one Sarah always dreamed of wearing." A glance up confirmed it. Sarah, my husband's sister, stood beside Linda, draped in my ruined dress, her smile triumphant. I should have seen this coming. The tension started the moment Mike proposed 6 months ago. Linda's first words weren't congratulations, but "oh, Sarah always wanted a spring wedding too." From that moment, my engagement became a bizarre homage to Sarah, who'd been single for years. The dress debacle started innocently enough. My mom and I had saved $3,200 in overtime shifts for the hand-beaded silk gown from Bella's bridal. When I tried it on, its delicate lace sleeves and timeless elegance made me feel like a bride. Linda's response? "Oh, it's interesting, but Sarah always dreamed of wearing my dress. Such a shame she hasn't found the right man yet." She pulled out her wedding photos for the 100th time, while Sarah scoffed. "That dress looks like something from a discount store. Mom's dress is designer vintage." Mike insisted they just needed time to warm up to me, but Linda and Sarah were a united front of family tradition, masked as control. I should have known better than to let them into my apartment while I was at work. They claimed they needed to measure the windows for wedding photos. Mike called me paranoid when I hesitated, yet here I was trembling as I lifted the torn silk from the trash. Upstairs they waited. Linda's family dress lay on my couch, yellowed with age and puffed with 1980s absurdity, massive sleeves, high neck, and all. "Rachel, darling." Linda's voice oozed false sweetness. "What timing? Sarah just tried on your dress, and it fits her perfectly. And now you get to wear my dress. It's tradition." Sarah smirked, spinning in my shredded gown. "The beading was loose anyway. It looks better on me. Accidents happen." My phone buzzed. Mike calling. Linda snatched it. "Mike, your sister looks breathtaking in Rachel's dress. And Rachel is so gracious. She understands family traditions now." I could barely breathe as Linda and Sarah painted me as unreasonable, using words like hysterical and modern ideas. This wasn't just about a dress. It was a test of power, a push to break me until I fit their mold. But something in me snapped. "Take off my dress," I said quietly, my voice steady. Linda's smile vanished. "Don't be ungrateful. This is about family. Don't you want to belong?" "Not if it means being bullied and manipulated," I shot back. "Mike deserves to know what really happened." Sarah sneered. "Oh, he won't believe you. Mom already told him you've been acting out. What proof do you have?" Looking at their smug faces, I realized I had a choice: keep the peace or stand up for myself. My engagement ring felt heavy as I reached for my phone. I gripped my phone tightly, my hands shaking as I scrolled through my photos. "No proof?" I whispered, pulling up the security camera feed from my apartment hallway. Being a cybersecurity analyst had its perks. I'd installed the system after my laptop mysteriously disappeared during one of Linda's earlier visits. "What are you doing?" Sarah's voice wavered, the first crack in her confident facade. "Getting proof," I said, my voice steadier now. The footage was crystal clear. Linda and Sarah dragging my wedding dress down the hallway, laughing as they stuffed it into garbage bags. I pressed send, copying Mike and his father, Robert, in the group text. "You wouldn't dare," Linda hissed, her perfectly manicured hands clenching into fists. "This is family business. Family doesn't destroy things that matter to each other," I countered, backing toward the door. "And family doesn't lie." My phone buzzed with notifications. Mike was calling again, and this time I answered on speaker. "Rachel? What's going on? Dad just showed me the video." "Mike, honey." Linda cut in, her voice syrupy. "Your father doesn't understand. Sarah's been so upset lately, and when she tried on Rachel's dress, she just lit up." "We were just." "You threw away my fiance's wedding dress?" Mike's voice cracked with disbelief. "Mom, what were you thinking?" "Mikey, you don't understand." Sarah suddenly burst into tears. "Mom said Rachel agreed to swap dresses," she said. "I said no such thing," I interrupted. "Your mother and sister broke into our apartment, destroyed my dress, and tried to force me into Linda's old one. They're here now, wearing what's left of my gown and acting like I'm the unreasonable one." The silence was deafening. Finally, Mike's voice cut through, tight with anger. Dad and I are coming over. Don't leave, any of you. Linda's face paled. Michael, there's no need for your father to get involved. Dad's already involved, Mike snapped. 20 minutes. After he hung up, the atmosphere grew thick with tension. Linda paced, muttering about ungrateful modern women, while Sarah sat on my couch in my ruined dress, mascara streaking her cheeks. I heard Robert's voice in the hallway before the door opened. Absolutely disgraceful. Breaking and entering. Destruction of property. Mike stormed in, stopping short at the sight of Sarah still wearing my mangled gown. Sarah, take that off. Now. But Mikey. Now. Robert's calm authority filled the room. Linda, what were you thinking? That dress cost thousands of dollars. This isn't just disrespect, it's criminal. It's just a dress. Linda protested, but her voice lacked its usual conviction. I was trying to preserve our family traditions. Sarah's been so lonely. So you destroyed Rachel's dress. Mike's voice rose. To force her to wear yours? It's the family dress, Linda insisted. Every woman who marries into this family has worn it. Not this time, Robert said firmly. Linda, we'll discuss this at home. Sarah, change. Now. Sarah shuffled to the bathroom, my ruined dress draped over her arm. When she returned, she tried to hand it to me, but Mike intercepted it. We'll be sending you the bill, he said coldly. Robert nodded. And I'll make sure it's paid, Rachel. Linda, Sarah, let's go. We need to talk about boundaries and respect. Linda hesitated at the door. I was only trying to keep our traditions alive. One day, you'll understand. No, Mom, Mike said, his voice resolute. One day you'll understand that traditions don't excuse cruelty. Now leave. When they were gone, I collapsed onto the couch, emotionally drained. Mike sat beside me, holding my ruined dress gently. We'll find you a new dress, he promised. A better one. And we'll get married however you want. No more letting them control our decisions. I looked at him, seeing the strength I'd always hoped for. You really mean that? He nodded, his jaw set. It's time for new traditions. Our traditions. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of revelations and unexpected alliances. Linda and Sarah's actions sent shockwaves through the family, but not in the way they'd hoped. The story spread quickly, and soon other voices began to emerge. They did the same thing to me, Mike's cousin Emma confided during a phone call. 15 years ago, Linda insisted I wear that dress. When I refused, my original dress mysteriously got damaged. I always suspected she was behind it. More calls followed. Linda's so-called family tradition had left a trail of resentment and fractured relationships. 3 marriages had ended in divorce, and 2 brides had called off their weddings entirely rather than endure Linda's control. One evening, as Mike and I browsed wedding dresses online, Robert arrived at our door, a look of determination on his face. I've been doing some digging, he began, settling into the armchair, and I've uncovered a few things about Linda's dress. It's not even a family heirloom. What? Mike and I exchanged stunned glances. Robert nodded grimly. I found old wedding photos of my mother. She wore a completely different dress. When I asked her about it, she broke down crying. Linda pressured her to lie about the tradition for years. Mike's voice was tight with anger. So Mom's been manipulating everyone with a fake tradition. Robert sighed. It gets worse. Sarah confessed everything. The dress destruction wasn't spontaneous. They'd been planning it since your engagement. Linda even lined up a tailor to alter your dress for Sarah. I felt a wave of nausea. But why? Control, Robert replied simply. Linda's always feared losing her influence. Each new bride was a threat to her authority. And Sarah, she's always gone along with it because it gives her power too. Before we could respond, the doorbell rang. To my surprise, it was Linda's sister, Aunt Claire, holding a large garment box. I found this while helping Linda clean her attic, Claire said, stepping inside. I thought you should have it. Inside was a stunning vintage wedding dress made of ivory silk with delicate pearl beading. This was our mother's, Claire explained softly. Linda hid it away years ago when she started her so-called tradition. I thought you might like to see what a real family heirloom looks like. The dress was beautiful, but it represented something even more meaningful. Truth. Thank you, I said sincerely. But it's time for something new. 2 days later, I found my dress. Unlike the first one or Linda's design, It was entirely uniquely me. The boutique owner, moved by our story, gave us a generous discount. Linda and Sarah weren't invited to the final fitting. Instead, I was surrounded by women who genuinely supported me: my mom, Mike's grandmother, Aunt Claire, and even a few of Linda's former victims who had become unlikely allies. On our wedding day, the sun shone brightly as I walked down the aisle in my chosen dress. Linda and Sarah sat in the back, their presence subdued and powerless. During the reception, Mike's grandmother approached me with a small wrapped box. Inside was a vintage brooch. "This," she said with a knowing smile, "is a real family heirloom. Given with love, not demands." Later that night, as Mike and I swayed to our first dance, I noticed Linda and Sarah slipping out early. They looked smaller somehow, diminished without their usual weapons of manipulation. "Any regrets?" Mike whispered, holding me close. I looked around at the room filled with genuine joy, love, and a sense of new beginnings. "None," I replied. "Sometimes you have to break old traditions to build better ones." The ruined dress still hangs in my closet, not as a symbol of loss, but as a reminder. Standing up for yourself isn't easy, but it's always worth it. When people ask about our wedding story, I tell them the truth, not just about the dress, but about the power of breaking toxic cycles to create something better. After all, the best traditions are the ones built on love, not control.